Greetings, everyone. This would typically be a goofy wrestling bullshit episode. And it kinda is. But it's our annual WrestleMania prediction show. Yes, every year I do this show. Every year I give you my predictions on who will win at WrestleMania. Seeing that WrestleMania is divided into 2 nights, I decided to divide these videos into 2 videos. However, there will be one overarching theme. This year's WrestleMania I'm calling Kiss Ass Omania. Why? Not for kissing Vince McMahon's ass. No. This is not that year. Some pretense. Last year's WrestleMania 36, that I call the Curse of the Performance Center Pearl, was about giving hope when the pandemic started causing major problems. Remember, WrestleMania last year took place despite a lot of critical blowback and hatred for it. It was the only major sporting event to take place during the spring last year. WWE's reason? To bring hope in a time where it seemed hopeless. Now, circle back a year later, we get WrestleMania 37, Old Man's Chest, taking place in Tampa Bay's Raymond James Stadium in front of 25,000 fans. This is a note. This is going to be the first wrestling show of any type in the past year from any wrestling organization with actual fans in attendance. And, as proven by the tagline Back in Business, they plan to abuse the living crap out of this notion. And they're already doing it already. But it might as well be called Kiss Ass-O-Mania. This year, they're gonna circle back as we survived it after a year of having to do shows in the Performance Center and in a pseudo Thunderdome. We've survived and we've come out the winner. To this end, the booking is going to be heavily slanted. So if you hashtag not an ad, use DraftKings Sportsbook with these code WWE not an ad, I am about to make you money. Why? Because I'm about to give you winners. Lots of winners. With one thing. They're gonna lean decidedly one-sided. Now the book has not been totally locked. There's a Smackdown Tag Team Championship match. That's pretty much a waste of time that needs to be booked. But all the major matches that actually matter are booked. So we're gonna start with the night oneers. Starting with the only heel victory. The Raw Tag Team Championships will see AJ Styles and almost his big 7'4" bodyguard, who just destroyed the New Day last night, take on said New Day, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, for the Raw Tag Team titles. Expect this to be one of the only matches in which the heels win. AJ and Omos have been booked incredibly strong, and they're going to win the championships almost single-handedly due to Omos. In fact, that's going to be the entire build of the match. AJ Styles is going to be self-isolated by the New Day, unable to do anything until Omos gets the tag and ends up destroying everyone. It's going to pretty much be, here's what this big Jamaican can do for an entire match, with AJ Styles finally completing the company title factor outside of the Smackdown and Universal titles to win his first WWE tag title, just like he promised earlier in the year. Remember, he was searching for a partner to do this very cause earlier last year, come the end of it. So expect the storyline to conclude here with AJ winning, finally, his tag team championship. He, however, is the only heel that will win in night one. Every other match, from Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley, go Drew, big time. Do not let the addition of Baron Corbin change your mind, as the traditional Hurt Business got pretty much kicked out last night. Do not let that change your mind, nor with Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair is winning the title, obviously. The bigger question is whether this will go on last to end night one, or whether the WWE title will. The WWE title will. And you can blame WrestleMania 35 for the reason why. Remember when there was a triple threat women's match put in the last spot of WrestleMania 35, the last WrestleMania with a live crowd until this year? Remember that there was a certain botch that they edit out of any time that they talk about this match? Yes, people remember Becky holding up both titles in a unified fashion, but everyone, because of the WWE's brainwashing, forgets that there was a major botch. And many people forget that this was a major point in women's wrestling history. See, this was the first time that the women had ever been booked as the main event, last man out of a pay-per-view, let alone WrestleMania. Sure, we had done small ones like Hell in a Cell, but those don't really mean much. This was the first major pay-per-view that was not women-centric to get this honor. And because of the botch, women's wrestling in the WWE, at least, has not been bought and placed at a very good spot. Expect Sasha and Bianca to be next to last, or even among one of the first matches of night one. But expect it to be a banger all the same. WWE cannot book anymore. Nor should we of the internet wrestling community no longer ask them to book. The talent in the WWE outranks any kind of booking that the WWE can do. Literally, there's no way to book this sort of talent and get it off looking right. It will always come off a little awkward. So, we all just need to stop asking for something that will never happen, nor the company will never be able to do. It's just not doable. So let's stop asking. To that end, this match is one of those examples of why you shouldn't matter how the story ends, because story in this era's modern wrestling matters about as much as a Brian Alvarez opinion. It doesn't. Most people just want to see flippy shit and great technical prowess. Just look at anybody who looks at greatest matches of the last few years and you get this setup. Most people couldn't even tell you the storylines of their greatest matches of the last few years because nobody remembers them. But they'll remember a good sequence of moves. That's proof positive of what wrestling fans value. Sasha and Bianca is one of those. Also, Matt Riddle and Sheamus are also going night one. Expect Sheamus to win the US title. Now, why would you do this to poor Matt Riddle? He's on a hot streak. So is Sheamus. Plus, Matt Riddle has no real competition, and I expect Sheamus to win. Now, if Sheamus loses, he is most certainly it's Matt Riddle losing the Baron Corbin of the new Hurt Business. But I'm willing to place my money on Sheamus for this one. This is one of only 3 real coin flips in the entire WrestleMania card. The other, Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon, is an obvious Braun Strowman victory. Another pro-facer in this very pro-face card. Now, I could see Shane winning off of some technical bullshittery. Just like he beat The Miz a couple years back. It could happen again, but I don't expect it to go down that way. I expect Shane McMahon to get the beating of his life, and Braun Strowman to get a true WrestleMania moment out of it. It will be a fun time, for sure. Other matches might include the Smackdown tag titles. Expect a switch. I'm not even going to tell you who's going to be in that match, because it really doesn't matter. The tag titles as a whole don't matter. But expect a switch to whomever. Just don't bet on the Dirty Dogs, okay? Bet the field. If there's a bet like that. But if I had to pick one, I will expect the Street Profits to book and win this match. But again, I could be shocked. Naomi and Lana are winning the SmackDown Women's Tag Team Championships. Yes, I know. Lana, right? The same wrestler who got put through a table 9 weeks in a row. Tabletron wants to hang out, and Naomi are winning strangely. And yes, it gives Naomi another belt to her ledger, which it's always a good thing for Naomi. But this is more putting an exclamation point on Lana's turbulent year. And anybody who knows the inside of wrestling over the year will certainly tell you why it's been so turbulent. A lot of the bigger name matches like Randy Orton and The Fiend, the triple threat for the Universal title, and Asuka and Rhea Ripley are reserved tonight too, and video too. 2. Night 1 is shaping up to be decent. I don't know the entirety of how the Night 1 card will flush out. At least not yet. But of all the major matches, bet face outside of 2 of them. That would be bet AJ and Almas, and possibly bet for a Sheamus victory. Also no, bet face just about everywhere else. Drew McIntyre is getting a that-a-boy in a makeup for not getting the fan pop he had been owed at last year's WrestleMania. This is what taints that whole match when it comes to booking it. Also, expect Cesaro and Seth Rollins to be a night 2. Although I find that rather weird for that to be a night 2. But in the next video, we'll talk about the major matches of night 2 and ultimately why Kiss-Ass-O-Mania is the way that it is. And trust me, in night 2, it gets a hell of a lot worse. Put the emphasis on hell.